Okay, I'm gonna record. All right. So a lot of this stuff you're already gonna know. So like I said, I'm probably gonna just recap a lot of it. But if there's something where you're like, whoa, Adrian, I don't know what you're talking about, don't be afraid to holler at me and tell me to pause. That's totally fine. So as you've been logging into the system, you've been coming into this membership dashboard area. You have probably seen this 100 times, but just didn't know what all of these different elements were. So you already know about your current membership roster. This is showing you who's active. It's also showing you who's graced. These numbers are going to continue to move as your members fall into a lapsed status. When your members are lapsed, they will never automatically fall off. They will always stay in this lapsed status unless you physically move them to a prospect or move them uh, or delete them. If
Okay.
if you wanted to know who any of these people were, like these 9 associate members who are graced, you could always click on that number 9, and here they are. You could always, if you wanted to figure out who's seeing the emails and who's not, you could always email these 9 people, and then there's a lot of actions you could take. You could contact them. That's going to bring them into the contact center where you send emails out of. You could export them, or maybe all 9 end up being lapsed and you're like, forget it. I don't even want these guys in my association anymore. You could just delete them or change their member type all to prospect. So there's a lot you can do in this
Okay.
profile list. We're going to come back to this, but really just wanting to show you that you can click on these numbers directly from the membership roster. The new members in the last 90 days list, this is going to show you who has joined in the last 90 days so you can reiterate the membership benefits they're gaining by being a part of your association. You can be emailing them frequently and quickly after they become a member. This is pulling from the join date in their profile. The join date is automatically added if somebody takes a membership application, but if you create somebody manually, you have to add the join date manually. Otherwise, they're not going to show up here. Any questions on these two?
No.
All right, to scroll down, we then have our event dashboards. Your event dashboards are bringing in either past events or upcoming events, the date that they were or will be held on, and how many people attended or have registered so far. This will only show you 3 past. It will only show you 3 upcoming. If you want to see all of your forms and who's coming, you would of course need to go to the forms and form list to see all of those form submissions or registrants. As
Okay.
and I can kind of throw some extra stuff in here that I wouldn't normally talk about. So like since you've got such a pretty firm base knowledge of the system at this point, I can click on any of these forms, this form title, and it's going to bring me directly into the registrant list. So if your members had come today and you had them sign in, you could go back in here and mark whether they attended or no-showed. These
Mhm.
attributes are searchable. So that will allow you to send an email to those guys that no-showed and say, hey, what the heck? Or hey, here's a lot of associations I'm a part of. They'll say, hey, we missed you today. Here's a recording of here's a webinar of the meeting so that you are still filled in and since you paid, basically.
Sure. Yep.
And then attended, you could always send those people that attended a survey to ask them how the event went, what they might change differently, or there's a lot. It's a powerful tool that I feel like most associations aren't using, but
Okay.
we don't really have time to cover this in our trainings because it's a little bit more of a deeper dive, so we get to talk about it. All right, I'm just going back home using my home icon up here in the top left. Any questions on the forms dashboard?
No.
Okay. The last items, and once again, or what I should say is these are all just overviews. You can, of course, dive in deeper into any of this information on this page um, or elsewhere in the system. But this is just to kind of let you know what's going on. So aged receivables is showing you how many outstanding invoices you have by how much money. Dues renewals are not counted as aged receivables because it is not promised money. Do you know, does that make sense?
Okay.
So
So I'm not really sure that I have any then. Um,
we probably
well,
created a $5 test invoice,
yeah.
and that's
So if we have a clam bake. So if I send out if they buy tickets and they haven't paid yet, they would be in there. So everything that we charge for except for dues is in there.
exactly everything but dues. But over here
Yeah.
in the right-hand box that we see, we've got our sales over time. This is going to show us how much money you have brought in per revenue account per month. So right now that's just over $36,000 total. We can look at your different revenue accounts by using my revenue account button or revenue account filter in the bottom right-hand corner of this little graph and choose what we want to look at. So membership dues, that's that $36,000. I can apply that filter and we're only viewing this revenue account.
Okay, so that's billed out, not received, obviously.
Correct.
Yeah.
This would technically be sales, and membership dues
Yeah.
are considered sales. They're just not considered an aged receivable.
Sure. Gotcha.
That is everything on this home page. Any questions here? Or maybe it just
No.
made you, okay, cool. All right, the next that was easy. The next thing we're going to look at is settings and account settings. So the reason I want to show you this, as you get ready to start calling into the help team, they are always going to ask you for your account number. It will always be listed on this account settings page. So you don't have to memorize it or
Okay.
write it down. You can go to this page and read it directly from this page to them.
Okay.
This also tells you where you're at with your membership. So right now you are over your allotted profiles. But since you are still in the onboarding process, we've got a little bit of leeway here. After you're out of the onboarding process, my billing team will probably contact you and say, hey, you're over your level amount. They may say, here's an updated invoice, or they may say, are you going to delete members or do you want to upgrade to the next level? I've seen both types of emails come through. If we could get this
Okay.
below this 323 before you're out of the onboarding process, that would be awesome, but that might be a little bit difficult because I know you want to give your members a little extra leeway since this is a new system.
Because I have a lot of, not a lot, but a number of them that have been in my database for a while, and I've been dragging them along, even though they may not have paid for a year or two. If they're prospects and I move them to prospect, then they're not considered a profile, correct?
They are still a profile, but they are not a custom profile. You have actually
Would they
900.
drop out the 323?
Correct. They would move down to this 900. You have 900 prospects allotted. So this 300
Okay.
amount, these are custom profiles or paying profiles. Well, it's not going to work. You get my point. And then down here, prospects.
Yeah.
These are their own category, and you have 900 allotted. You've only used 9. So you could definitely move those guys to just the prospects category so that you can still be
Right.
emailing with them and have an account of who they are.
Okay.
So I would definitely recommend starting on this. Just starting to kind of move some guys into prospects just so you can get that number under 300 because I don't want billing to reach out and just like bill you for a higher amount once we're done. I don't want them to do that if they don't have to. If they have to, then if you can't get rid of
Yeah.
your members, then
Yeah.
it's different. But okay, you're on
And
an
all I would do is go into those members who I probably expect will not pay me and change their member type to prospect. And that solves it.
correct. Do you know how to do that?
I think so.
Okay.
Somewhere. In the profile? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have an
In the
example of
profile.
somebody?
How about Ahern Equipment? Ahearn. There's probably 2 or 3 people there. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So one thing
So, yeah.
One thing about prospect profiles is that they cannot hold a parent-child relationship. It can only hold the children. So we would have to delete Ahern Equipment's profile, but move to prospects Joshua and Justin.
Okay.
That's
So
doable.
the business cannot be a prospect, but the linked profiles can be. And let's say that after I did that, what would you do? You would delete Ahern's business profile?
Yeah, I would start off by unlinking Joshua and Justin,
Yep.
moving them to prospects, and then coming back to Ahern and deleting the profile.
Okay. And then if they were to pay, I'd have to create a new profile for Ahern and then link the two back up again.
Actually, kind of the cool thing about the member-click system is that when you delete somebody, it's really just archiving. So you actually have the ability to search by deleted profiles and restore them or undelete them. So you could just restore Ahern's equipment and then just relink Justin and Joshua.
Oh, so if I delete Ahern, they're still going to live there for me to get them at some other point
Yeah,
if they pay.
well, I don't want to do that right now because it would void the invoice, but yeah, so maybe let me say this. I would start by moving your associate and active municipal or maybe honorary retired. I would start by moving those guys first because they're not such a pain in the butt to like piece back together if they did end up wanting to join. Then if you still needed to get rid of people, then I would start doing sustaining. And when you want to do that, let me know and we can have a separate session and I'll like when you're actually ready to do it, I'll take you through what that process will look like and I'll kind of watch you do a couple.
So if I move the honorary retired group into prospects, what would they lose some benefit by being there? I mean, as long as I were to include the prospects in my emails and things, there's no real benefit to them being a prospect, or they don't lose anything by being a prospect, right?
The only thing they could lose is if you had
Or
members.
they don't have the profile. Yeah.
They wouldn't have a profile. Uh,
Okay.
they wouldn't be involved in the social community. They would not be able to see any members only content if you had members only content on your website. And they would not receive member only pricing if you had members only pricing set up for like an event or something.
Okay. I gotcha.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, back to account settings. All right, membership year. Okay. And then your membership year begins January 1st, which means it ends December 31st. Your members do have member numbers. Now, if you don't want your members to view their member numbers, you can hide this somewhere else in the system. But I would, best practice, always leave this on because this is a really great system attribute, especially if you wanted to do a mass update to your members. I would need that member number to do it. So leave this on.
Okay.
You do not have QuickBooks at this time, so this is off. Is that accurate?
That's right. I
Okay.
don't have it.
When you send out emails from MemberClicks, the email address under this notifications area, when they reply to any
Yeah.
emails you send out, this is where their response email is going to. And then by
Mhm.
default, all of your emails are coming from the from name
Mhm.
listed under this notifications area as well.
Gotcha.
Okay. The last piece to this is this information under the billing contact information is just billing contact info for MemberClicks. Any questions on any of this?
Nope.
All right, sweet. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is go to financial and invoices. Now, as you know, this brings you immediately into your invoice list, which will list all invoices, whether they're paid, partially paid, voided, or open. Over time, you're going to have a lot of invoices in this area. So if somebody submitted a check to you and you need to apply payment on an invoice from that check, we've made a couple of different ways that you can search the information that's in here. So the first item is this search bar in the top right-hand corner. You can search your members' invoices in the invoice list by first name, last name, organization, or invoice number.
Mm-hmm.
So I may want to search Tri-State. The next way that we could narrow down the invoice we're looking for is by invoice type. So maybe I only care about renewal invoices. I'm going to check renewal and apply that filter. All three of these are renewals, so that's not really going to change anything. Last, we can sort by status of the invoice. So I could sort by voided, partially paid, paid, pending, or open. Maybe I just want the open invoice. And then maybe I'm looking for mid-state. I could just click on that invoice number, and that's going to bring me into the invoice itself. Any questions on searching invoices?
No.
Okay. This is exactly what you already know what your invoices look like. This notes section, did you add this in yourself?
I think we did it before, yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll show you where this is pulling from in just a second. So keep the notes in mind. This bottom area,
Okay.
enter invoice comments here. These are internal notes. So if somebody, maybe I called you up and said, Lisa, I don't want to be a member. I just can't afford it right now. Maybe I'll be a member later. You could come into my invoice and say, Adrian does not want to be a member, as of 3/13.
Yep.
Would like to rejoin in the future. Does she
Sure.
is
Yep.
poor? You could say, you could make some type of comment like this, and when you save the comment, it will save the date that you made the comment along with this comment. So these are internal notes. This notes section above this area, these are external notes. Okay.
Yep.
You can download your invoices from here. So now I can
Mm-hmm.
open it. That just downloaded on my computer, which will allow me to print this off. We could void the invoice from the invoice area. We could create a credit invoice.
So if I void and I just hit right there, is that the end of it? It just disappears, no longer, nothing else to do, that's it?
It still is going to hang out in your system, but
Under the business or whatnot, yeah.
right, but it would no longer show as an aged receivable. It would no longer show as income in the income by revenue account. And if you did have member clicks or a financial system and you imported these transactions into your financial system, it would reflect as zero because it's going to show yes, there was a sale, but then yes, there was a credit.
We did one void on Bayside Engineering because there was a person up in there that they didn't want to pay for. So we voided it. And then did we go in and create a new invoice?
I think we
We
did.
would have, we unlinked. So let's say there was 3 people here and there was an extra $100. We would have voided it there, unlinked the other person, and then created a new invoice.
Yep. So see, we've got a voided invoice.
Yeah.
And then the
Is
new.
that how that?
Exactly. We unlinked that member and then we probably deleted them and then we just renewed them again. And that recreated a new invoice for the appropriate amount because they had less people attached to them.
So how would you create that new invoice? What do you think we did? How do you create a new invoice after voiding it?
So let's say Bayside Engineering, I can go directly from their profile from here. I went to their linked profiles tab.
You took a guy out.
Yeah, we
Yep.
removed the third guy. Then we can just go to the top of the, I'm sorry, then we went to the invoices. I voided the original invoice. Then I can go to the top of my profile, use my actions button, and hit renew.
Oh, okay.
So clicking renew like this will manually renew somebody. It will force a renewal invoice to be created.
Okay.
That makes sense. Which is what this did. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. One other thing that I forgot to mention to you is, let's say you wanted to resend all of the open invoices. I can sort by all the open.
That's actually exactly what I want to do.
So I can tag all, and then I'm going to have to page over because I can only see 100 per page. I'm going to view the second page, tag all. I can go to my actions drop down and hit email tagged invoices, and it'll re-email them all.
So the difference between doing that and if you set the date for the notification, when you send that notification email, are they also going to get this invoice like they did before, or the attachment or the link?
The best way to resend renewal invoices is by using the renewal, graced, and lapse notifications under the member type settings, because that has a very specific verbiage going out with it. This verbiage is going to pull from an invoice template, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. But you typically wouldn't send a huge long paragraph in an invoice template. It would just be more like, hey, you need to pay your invoice. Hey, you've got an open invoice. Hey, you still haven't paid your invoice. It's a little bit more
If
straightforward.
you hit email right there, is it going to send an email, whatever you put in, is it going to send the attachment invoice, or is it providing a link to it in the email?
It does.
Or neither?
It doesn't attach it. It just provides a link.
Okay. But they're all individually linked. So if you email tagged invoices, then does it go out with another 161 individual emails, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But it's not going to attach the invoice. It's just going to provide the link down below that if they clicked is going to bring them to their own individual invoice.
Correct.
Gotcha. Which is, in theory, the same thing that we're going to do with the renewal, except the renewal has more of a planned niceness to it in the message. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Okay. This is going to lead us to talking about invoice templates. And you might have already created all these. Okay. The reason we have invoice templates is because the system has the ability to send out different types of invoices. We covered invoice renewals, the notifications that go out with invoice renewals in those edit notifications area under the member type settings. We put in the specific verbiage that goes with renewals, and we kind of put renewals in their own little bucket because they're really important and usually is the largest source of income.
Right.
But that doesn't mean the system's not going to create other invoices, because it will. Things like for your golf, or if a new member signs up for events, or you've got vendor appreciation day on here. So if somebody registers through a form for any of these items, They are going to receive the notification from the invoice template that you set up and chose for that particular form. So every form you're going to have to assign an invoice template. And then depending on the invoice template that you assigned, different reminder notifications or a payment notification email will go out for for the invoice that was created. So if somebody takes your new membership application, you're going to assign the new member's invoice template to the new membership application. Now, this is what's going to pull in that notes section onto the invoice, whatever information is in this area. If your member has the ability to fill out the membership application and they can choose to be invoiced, but they don't have to pay right then and there, then they would receive these invoice emails, reminder emails, and past due emails, but they would only receive them if you have them turned on. So you would want to turn these different areas on.
Okay.
You would also want to edit the email. We have some verbiage that we put in here for you, but transparently, this feels very spammy to me. Like, I don't think I would pay an invoice attached to something that said, new invoice, please pay the attached. I'd be like, no, I'm not gonna pay that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You would probably want to put a little bit more information on here that makes it feel a little bit more customized.
Gotcha.
So did that make sense?
So in the whether it's a quick box or it's a drop down, currently we have a link where they can download the paper form. We can choose to keep that temporarily for the people who can't figure it out, but we'll also have a new form under one of the drop downs that leads them to be able to sign up here that pay later. Is that what you're
Correct.
That's what you're getting at?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
If there is a form and they have to pay at time of registration, I get this question all the time. If there's a form and they have to pay at time of registration, at minimum, you still want to set up this payment notification email because nobody likes to pay when they registered and then never receive, hey, thanks for your payment. You know, it's like, well, where did my money go? You always want to follow up with that payment notification email. So at bare minimum, you want to turn and set these up.
Right. In our case, we're waiting for a check. So they can sign up here and then they have the option to download what they just signed up for to turn that in to their accountant to have a check cut.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Correct?
Yeah. Yep. And then once you applied the check, they would still receive the payment notification email.
Sure. Gotcha. So, what do you need me to do in this area? Is this what we're going to try to do next, or?
So what I would ask that you do is just go through these, select edit, and turn on these notifications you might need to use. So the only one that you would need to use right now is technically all of them. Because nobody's paying online, right? They all have to pay right now.
Correct. Correct.
So I would probably turn all of these on for each of your invoice templates and adjust the verbiage.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a follow-up email later tonight, and it'll have some resources to help you complete that.
Okay.
Okay.
So is this form already in there, but we just haven't created access to it yet? Is that?
This isn't a form. This would be those notifications. And I think you set these up, or maybe I set them up for you. They're there. We just haven't turned on the actual notifications to start going out.
Okay.
Do you have a question?
I guess so. The form that they would use to sign up online doesn't yet exist.
Ah.
Or does just in the background. So in order to get to this point, do we need to create that and make it available, or is it already available and we're just hiding it?
So let's say that people had to pay for this meeting registration. Down here in the payment section, we would say, okay, this is the invoice template we want to use. Events. And that's what triggers out the notifications. Am I answering your question?
Mm.
The forms the forms don't exist yet because we haven't created them. Like
Okay.
there's the new membership form exists. That one already exists, and that's one that is applicable today. If people started taking your new membership application online, then they would need to
Well,
receive those.
it's not available. That's what I'm saying. It's not available.
Ah, I see what you're saying. Correct. It's correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's in there as a preset. It's just not created in full, and it's not available to use at the moment, I believe.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's what I was trying to.
I got
So
you.
do I need to do anything on the forms end, or are we going to talk about that on Thursday? So if you would go into forms and then new members.
Don't even worry about
Okay.
forms right now because that is a whole beast in itself.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Invoice and just know that invoice templates will apply to your forms, and these invoice templates will tell the form which notifications need to go out. But we have to get the invoice templates created first so that when we start creating forms, we can go ahead and tell the form which invoice template to use.
Okay. Okay. Now I understand.
Okay, cool. Invoice templates is a little bit of a tricky concept because it's just connected to so many other pieces of the puzzle. So it's usually one that takes you a little while to see how the whole puzzle, like what the puzzle looks like when it's done, if that makes sense.
I keep thinking there's an end to the puzzle, but I don't think I'm ever going to get there.
Unfortunately, Lisa, I think that these trainings are probably going to open up more cans of worms than they close. But we'll get there. Okay. Invoice settings, you already know that's just your logo and your information that it pops in on your invoice. That's straightforward. Revenue accounts. These are just the revenue accounts that your money can filter into. And then payment processor, you don't have one at this time, but when you want to start collecting online payments, this is where we're going to add in your payment processor.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, the next topic, it took us a little longer today than I thought, so we're really going to be picking back up on Thursday to finish up the database training and then hopefully moving to content then. And that's totally fine. Your questions are so good. And I think my thought process on you kind of already knowing a lot of this stuff would actually make it go by faster. But because you already know so much stuff, I think it's just creating more questions. And that's good because I can hear your brain wheels turning as to how all of this is going to work together. So that's totally fine. It's totally okay. I think I'm going to stop here though. I do want to ask you a question. I know we have a 4:00 training scheduled for Thursday. Is there any way we could do like another 7 a.m. or were those too painful for you?
I can. I don't like it, but I can. What are you thinking about?
Well, I was going to see, because you have to be at work at what time?
8.
8.
I'm 1 minute from work. It's not a big deal.
You know what? Let's just keep it 4 to 5. That's totally fine for this one. I'm not going to worry about it. And then I'm just like back in the world of learning about traffic and what that looks like.
Yeah. No, I can. I can absolutely do a 7. It's not a big deal.
Let's stick.
Um,
Let's go ahead and stick to our 4 to 5 on Thursday, and then when we talk Thursday and we talk about rescheduling that for the following week, we'll I might see if we can do an earlier morning next week. How's that sound?
okay.
Cool.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you in order to get the new email out with the new help me out here. The new can you go back to the meetings for March?
Yeah.
When you click the I guess I have to just bring in a new article. Is it a new article? A new file with the updated date and put them in where they belong.
Yep, you'd want
This is
to
where I
update the
bring
verbiage on the
start
front
to
end.
get flagged.
Yeah. And then we're going to copy the March meeting. And do you have the new date yet or not yet?
Yeah, it's the 27th.
Okay.
I'd like to kind of like see what you're doing because I'm I'm gonna have to be able to do it.
You should be able to see my screen.
Yeah, I can. I just want to follow your thought
Yeah.
process here.
So what I just did was from my forms list, I have the business meeting March.
Yep.
I've
Yep.
copied this over and I just copied it.
Okay.
And then I,
Created the mark too. Yep.
yep, created this new one. Now I can go in here. I'm putting in my form alias. I'm going to delete out this number 2 and I'm just going to say March 27th, right?
Yes.
And then as
What is the form alias? Are you making that up
the form alias
or what
comes
do you have
after,
in that?
yeah, it comes after the / after wcha.memberclicks.net / WCHA dash March. This just comes after the / to make the URL. When you copy a form, it doesn't create a form alias automatically. If you created a form from scratch, it does, but when you copy a form, it doesn't. So you can put in whatever, like I could put in like Lisa Rocks. And that would literally, the member, when they clicked on the form in their URL, they would
That's
see
still up there. Okay.
wcha.net / Lisa dash rocks.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it doesn't have to match something specifically.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It could literally be anything. I just was updating. I was just adding something since I know it doesn't come over when you copy a form. And then the only other thing that I need to do here is click on my properties for the event section and change the date. And then we need to recreate the new sign up. So I could go like to the front end of your site. You've got this listed for your members to sign up right here.
Yep.
Then I just need to update the front end. So I'd go to menu items, quick links, business meeting. I'm going to change my type. I'm moving kind of fast, but we're going to go back through all this. I'm going to choose a form and I'm going to choose my new WCHA business meeting March 27th form. So this is the new form that's available now. So I'll refresh this. And I know that even though it says the same thing, it's going to take me to the updated form because I just updated it. So I don't think the only thing that you might need to do is update this next meeting agenda.
And that's an article. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and update the link on here. You might want to also update that printable form. I don't know if it's going to be any different or not. Okay.
Can you change it up? Okay. Yep.
Go ahead. Just change.
Nope, nope. I was just going to say right there, but that might be part of the. Oh, perfect. So that the meeting is the exact same. So actually, I don't have to update it. So it's done.
Cool.
It's the exact same meeting with a different date.
Awesome. So the only thing that you'll need that I want you to focus on is going back in there in those invoice templates and making sure they're set up correctly. Uh-huh.
Isn't there a downloadable form somewhere that goes back to a PDF in the in the calendar, right?
Well, there's one right here. Print registration form here.
Yep.
I don't know what this
is. That an article? How do I get that? I got to go into
articles.
Where do I? Yeah.
March 2018 business meeting. And then you'll want to just break your existing link.
Okay. Yep.
Re-highlight it, and then you can add in the new link by going into Site Links, File.
And grabbing it. Okay.
Well, you got to upload it. Remember, you got to upload the file into this folder.
Yep.
And then you'll just hit Insert this link, and that'll recreate it.
Perfect.
And that's the last piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Okay.
You made that so easy. That would have taken me 6 weeks.
Well, if you,
I guess, that's the fearful part, is like all of those little pieces, and you're like, ah. But
I know. Well,
anyway.
The more practice you get, the easier they become. If you want to send me the updated PDF, I can just link it real quick for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And I'll be sending you a follow-up email later tonight about following up for on the invoice templates, and I'll be giving you a little bit of info there. And I'll send you this recording, and then I'll send you credentials for our call Thursday. And other than that, I look forward to talking to you then, okay?
So Thursday at 4?
4 o'clock.
Is that what we're going to do?
Yep, 4 o'clock.
Okay.
And I'll talk
There is a possibility, if you want,